If you watched my pre-release video for A Lawless Time, you would have seen that I got beat up on. But specifically, there was a game, my final round, where I got beat up on so bad, it had me thinking. Right, there was so much synergy in a pre-release deck, and if you know me, I love synergy decks. So I went ahead and I built a homebrew Agent Kallus deck, and this is for a specific reason, okay? One of the other next phase guys, Duck, is coming over on Wednesday so we can run some games. We're gonna play some Riftbound, which there's also gonna be a Riftbound video for that, so make sure you guys check that out. But we're more importantly going to be playing Swoo. Now, Duck is a huge critic of my deck building, all right? I tend to limit myself to, you know, whatever cards that I have access to and things like that. It makes a lot of sense. But he seems to think that they always come out really ineffective and stuff, and that's because whenever we test them, he plays meta decks. We do this online, so he plays meta decks, and he absolutely destroys it because I'm limited. Well, this time around, not only did I open more A Lawless Time than I've opened of any set since Jump to Lightspeed, but I happened to pull some really good cards. Going over the deck, it's going to center around Spectres, right? I've never watched Rebels, so if you never watched Rebels, you'd be as confused as me, but Agent Kallus is a Rebels villain that actually has a redemption arc at the end of the show and becomes good, so that's why he synergizes so well with him. We're running 3 copies of Chopper. He's going to be a when played effect, and whenever you control a yellow or blue unit, and most of our turn 1 units are blue, you're going to give him 2 experience tokens, so you're going to pay 3 for him, but he's going to come out as a 3/4 with Raid 1. 3 Sabine's Masterpieces, pretty simple on attack. If you control any of these, you're going to get those benefits. Obviously, like I said, we're going to have all of these colors because how many Spectres we have. Sabine is going to work as upgrade removal and an ambush target, so you're going to pay 4 for her, but you pay 4 for a 3/3 with, again, upgrade removal. 3 Ezra's, again, he's one that I'm hesitant to have 3 of, but so far he's actually clutched up more than I expected. So he's going to be a 4/5 raid 1, so he's a 5/5 on attack, and when played, if we control these units, again, we may heal 4 damage to a unit, and if we don't, we can still heal 2. 3 Canaans, an absolutely busted card in this set when played. So he's a 4/4, well, he's a 3/4 with restore 1 for 4, and when played, return a non-leader unit that costs 2 or more. If you control these aspects, 100% we will. Return a unit that costs 4 or more. Return a unit that costs 4 or less. So again, he's a 4 that balances another 4 cost. Now we're gonna have to pay 5 for him, but that's still okay with us. Again, a huge unit for probably the best card in the deck right now, right? It's a 4/4 Sentinel, and when played, we're gonna be able to deal 5 damage to a ground unit. Absolutely busted card for our deck. Again, we're gonna pay 6, so we're paying 6 for a 4/4 Sentinel, but you're doing 5 damage to a unit. That's insane. And here's what we kind of limit. We only have 1 copy of the Ghost. When played, we give an experience token and shield token to a unit. If we control a blue or red unit, we get to do that to 2 units instead. Pretty confident we'll be able to do that. Interesting enough, we're using a splash base. Now this isn't to play any of our Spectre units. We have 1 unit picked out for this. Look, the Stranger is just such a good card, right? His ambush option, so removal plus his grit. So we're specifically running the splash base for 3 of these. I feel like losing to 3 health is good enough for this. And our only non-Spectre units that we're going to use Kallus for, other than the Stranger, if we need to use the Stranger, 2 copies of K2SO. He's an ambush and on attack, deal 3, so he could come in and possibly trade with 2 units. For 6, that feels like a little much, but I think he works out. And Luke Skywalker, he is questionable, right? He's a solid legendary 9/7, but we're gonna have to pay 8 for him. But he gives our opponent a choice, and that's what makes him difficult, right? Your opponent's always gonna pick what's best for them. But either way, get to ready him or do 5 damage to a unit. He feels solid enough, and if not, we resource. All right, so I'm gonna put the rest of the deck list here on the screen. But I'm out here to prove myself, right? Duck swears I'm not that good of a deck builder. He kind of makes fun of how weak my decks are, and they haven't performed, right? If you saw our first video of these vlog types, I took Governor Price to a showdown, and I went 1 and 2. Now, Governor Price was fun, and I took out a Han deck, and if you guys know anything about Han before rotation, he was kind of annoying to play, so I trust my ability to build a gimmick deck and to find wins with it. I don't expect this deck to be competitive at all right now, but this is going to be my test run, and after some really hard testing from me, I think we're ready. All right, everybody, so Duck is now on his way here. It's a whole new day. I didn't record yesterday, you know, I got the cut going on. So I do have my Agent Kallus deck built. I actually built a Lando deck and a Chewie deck. Just in case, just in case it doesn't go. But Kallus is going to be the one, right? I put a lot of effort into it, a lot of thinking, and that's going to be the one to prove Doug wrong. On top of Duck being over here, actually one of my other buddies is heading here, so now it's going to be a whole swoo game. Just so everyone can see me get my get back, right? Duck has been talking crazy on my deck building, saying they suck, that they're not good enough, they can't win anything. I'm here to prove him wrong specifically. And it's finally time for the big game. He's playing Chewbacca. I start with playing a Chio, just some good card draw early on. But he gets the best turn 1 play for his Chewie deck, which is unmarked credits, allows him to create a credit token, and more importantly, allows him to play Chewbacca on turn 2, which he does. Chewbacca is a 5/6 on turn 2. That's huge, but I respond with a Bith Brute. This causes him to go into my Sentinel, take 4 back, and then I just take the initiative and swing into his Chewbacca, and we both lose our units, but he's an aggro deck, so taking out his 5/6 on turn 2 is huge. He responds with playing a Kazuda, which is huge for his deck, because eventually that Kazuda becomes a 6/6 once he destroys one of his resources, which he does here to do 2 damage to my Sabine's Masterpiece. And I, for some reason, play my Kallus, allowing him to just kill my Kallus and living. That was a terrible play. I put IG-88 out there just to put something out there, and then he plays another great card in his deck, which is the Cham Syndulla, allowing him to resource another card and catch up on resources. He then plays a Commence Festivities, which gives his unit Saboteur, which I always forget can just kill my IG-88 who has a shield, because I always forget Saboteur goes through shields. I respond with an Ezra to heal the 2 damage from my Sabine's Masterpiece, and then he goes into base with Cham Syndulla. So now I have 5 on base. I do get to heal 2 of that damage because I control Ezra, and then I also give Ezra an experience token. This was the weirdest play of the game. He plays a Broken Horn for 5 when he's caught up on resources and we have the same amount of cards in hand. And you're going to see it later. I'm going to ask him about it because that's a terrible play at this point in the game. He's an aggro deck and he should be, flooding the board. I play my Kanan here, which allows me to bounce his Cham back to his hand, and I'm continuing to control the board here. But this is where I had to ask. I had to ask him, why did he play that horn? There was no way this was your best play when you definitely have cheap things you could have just flooded the board with. I refuse to believe that was your best play.
I do have cheap things I could flood the board with.
There it is. He actually admits it and then shows it right after with playing an Urk, which is a good unit. I take initiative, and then he plays a Cloud Rider. These are 2 cards that would have just made way more sense if he would have played them the turn before. But instead it puts him behind, and I get damage in on base. He kills my Kanan. And I tap all my resources to play a Game Ender, which is my Luke Skywalker for 8, and he has to make a decision, and that decision was to scoop up, and that's the game, and I won. Alright everybody, so I'm actually wrapping up editing this video about 2.5 weeks later. As you can see, the haircut's all gone and everything like that, and the voiceover was also, I just recorded that, so it wasn't up to date, so I kind of forgot what happened in the game. But it was really fun to play this deck, and I actually have plans to play this, at store showdowns going forwards and stuff like that. I will say I had the better matchup in the game. My cards played better, and I had the answer to everything he had. With that, I had to finally interview him afterwards, right? I couldn't let it slide. I needed to hear it from him.
Right. It was a good deck. He finally built a good one. That's just how it is. I lost. It's whatever.
Okay. We appreciate you. You have a good one. Have a safe drive back, bro.